The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. Why don't we just wait here for a little while, see what happens?
Do you want to die, Sidney?
For England, James? No.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Fill your hand, you son of a bitch!
Look what you did to him!
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
As you can see, I have here.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Macho Movie Madness.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Brandon, alongside me always is Andrew.
What's going on?
Today, we are going to be taking a look at the life and career of Brandon Lee. So we've been talking about this for quite some time. We've put it out on our community page on YouTube, obviously a little while back, and we're pretty excited about this. Brandon Lee is one of those guys that the big what if of Hollywood. You know, if he wouldn't have died, what kind of star or action star would he have became? And we're here to talk about that today.
Yeah. Before we get into that, we want to get into a little bit of the backstory.
Yeah. Let's. I guess we can get a little backstory in. I mean, I'm not super familiar with all of his backstory, but I do know that, you know, obviously he is the son of the great Bruce Lee, who was famous martial artist and
the Dragon.
The Dragon, man, he's a movie star. He died suddenly in 1973, which basically cemented his legacy into one of the greats of all time, is what happens when people die. Yeah. But Brandon Lee was only like 8 when this happened. And I think he was born in Oakland. He was born in Oakland, California in 65, I want to say. And they traveled back and forth. So he's back and forth between the United States and Hong Kong a lot with his dad in his career. And when his dad died suddenly, he was only 8 years old, and they moved back to L.A. And just basically to keep it short, because we're going to be talking about his movies mostly today, he became a very troubled kid for a little while. He became interested in acting. Obviously, he trained in martial arts as a kid. But when his dad died, his training kind of took a turn, and he left for a while because he's trying to live up to his dad. He saw pictures of his dad all over the walls of these martial art dojos, and obviously it was really hard on him. So he quit for a while, went to soccer. But he found his way back, and he didn't even graduate high school.
Yeah.
He actually got his GED. It was like what was it, 4 or 6 months before graduation, he was asked to leave because, you know, he was such a bad boy.
And then he hooked up with Jeff Amato, right?
Jeff Amato,
of John Carpenter fame.
Yeah.
One of his stuntmen.
Yeah.
And got him back into the martial arts and started training with him.
Mm-hmm.
And got into acting with the Lee Strasberg School.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
and this was in New York. And then I think after that he went to Boston and went on to Emerson College in Boston. And took part in some of the plays there, some of the stage films there. But you know, his big break in Los Angeles ends up coming mid 80s, I believe.
Right.
And I won't even call it a big break. Just basically getting into actual movies.
Yeah. And his first one, which when we got the results of the poll back, we were surprised.
Yeah.
Because Legacy of Rage, which is actually a Hong Kong movie, actually was in 3rd place. Of the 5 movies we're going to talk about. Yeah, it came in 3rd above even Rapid Fire, which just boggled my mind.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. We looked for Legacy of Rage, like a copy of it. And of course, Kenny did all the research there. He's like, dude, this is $50. And we were like, well, that is not in our Patreon budget.
No. No, this is not in any budget whatsoever, at least at this point in our lives. I'm not spending $50 on a movie.
Yeah.
If I can find it on YouTube somewhere, I will. And I don't think it's anywhere we can't
stream it.
We can't really stream it or get it at the moment. And maybe one of these days we can.
But for you three people, if we ever find Legacy of Rage, we will review it.
Yeah, we promise.
But the few scenes that we saw were really good. Of course, you've got the one scene that's out there that's actually in English is of him in the restaurant as a waiter with Bolo Young. Bolo Young, of course, fought Bruce Lee, and he was kind of a mentor to Brandon in some ways.
Right.
Actually said he would help protect Brandon Lee. And of course, felt like he had failed after what happens later with the Crow, which that's crazy to even,
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get it, but you can't put that blame on yourself, man. You can't be everywhere all the time.
The culture is big on honor.
It really is. Yeah, it is.
But that's the only scene we've really seen in our native tongue. So it looked good. It looked like a cool fight. The dubbing was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we will definitely try to review that for you guys down the road.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we'll put on the back burner, but we'll definitely keep on the list. That was 1986.
Yep.
But 1989 rolls around, and so does Laser Mission. Now, I personally did not get a chance to watch this one. But do we want to discuss this just for a minute?
Yeah, I can. I did watch this one a few weeks ago.
Okay.
It's up on Tubi. Laser Mission sounds like a sci-fi movie. I'm like, what is Brandon Lee doing in a sci-fi
movie? Right.
Until you look at it and start watching it, and it's actually like a low-budget James Bond. It's basically, I think you would really like it.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
He's supposed to find this guy who's, he's using these, I believe it was maybe diamonds or something, to create this laser. And the United States government wants him. I believe he's Cuban. It's actually Cabby from Escape from New York. Ernest Borgnine.
Yeah.
His name escaped me for a second. Playing a Cuban guy, which was really funny. But anyway, they're trying to get to him. He gets kidnapped. Brandon Lee ends up hooking up with his daughter, but she ends up helping him along the way. And there's more to the daughter than what it looks like, because there's some great action scenes in this where they're getting chased and she's driving this little boxy van and screeching around corners, and you're like, okay, she's just not this guy's daughter. Right. And Brandon Lee, there's some great scenes where he's hanging out the sliding door with an M16 firing backwards at these guys.
Oh my God.
It's pretty cool. So some really good scenes that are real Bondish, like that's a scene where they're kind of, marooned in this desert, and she's in this long flowing evening dress walking barefoot across the desert, him in a tux. Looks like something straight out of a Bond movie.
Yeah.
The one thing about this movie, there's not a really good printout there to watch. Even the one on Tubi looks like it was ripped straight from a VHS. Like it's really yellowed, and it is hard to watch in some places. But it's better than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
On a Warehouse B scale, it's probably a 2 out of 5.
Ooh. That's watchable.
He does some great martial arts in this movie. It's definitely a movie that we might touch on down the line if we can find a better copy of it.
Yeah, I'd be all down for that. So that's 1989. 1991, we're going to start getting into this last 3 films, basically, of his that he did. And we'll talk about a little bit more here, because this is some really good shit.
Cream of the crop.
So, first up, 1991's Showdown in Little Tokyo.
Yeah, which took second place in the poll.
Yeah, which, I get it, because it is tremendously good.
It's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's a little over the top, in places. It's definitely... for the time, and it's definitely for the time, but there's definitely a lot of like prejudice or racist almost type things with the culture, and some of it's not even really racist, but some of it you might look at it now and like, wow,
different time,
just a different time. It doesn't bother me, obviously, but it just amazing. Some movies like this you'll never see again. But there's so many actors in this, guys, like from this time period that you wouldn't even like believe if you haven't seen this movie.
Yeah.
Obviously like the bald henchman from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies.
Yes.
He's in this. Tia Carrera from Wayne's World and True Lies in this.
Carrie Tagawa.
Shang Tsung from the Mortal Kombat movie. Well, first Mortal Kombat movie. He was just, he reprised he gave his likeness to Mortal Kombat 11 for Shang Tsung again, which was awesome. And his voice. That was cool. I love Kerry Tagawa, dude. He is so awesome in everything he's in. Like, I wish I could meet that dude. He just seems like a cool guy, too. Like, have you ever seen interviews with him? He seems like a cool, awesome bad guy in this.
Yes.
Like, just meaner than shit.
Yeah. The guys are chopping their fingers off, and he's not accepting their sacrifice.
Yeah. So he just grabs the knife and shoves it into his chest.
Beheading women at parties.
Yeah, topless women. Speaking of which, I got to talk about this for just a second. And I'll probably talk about it a little bit later, too. There's a lot of titties in this movie. And I'm not offended by it. Carry on. Just public service announcement. There's a lot of naked women in this movie, so if you're offended by that, this is not the place for you. And that's not the movie for you.
Yeah. One of the best scenes of which is the hot tub scene, which we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
You've got
oh my God.
Tia Carrera, and we're thinking that they used a body double for her.
Yeah, after some extensive research and
some testing,
some serious testing in the lab, I have come to the conclusion that was not Tia Carrera naked in that scene. Yeah, it was a lot of research, a lot of hours into that testing.
Yeah, just some raw research.
Just some raw research, only for this video purposes,
right?
Strictly for professional. Just to inform you guys, because I know this is something that you would all care about. But yeah, I don't think it's her. Yeah, she took that robe off. I'm like, that's nice. Yeah. And then she gets in, I'm like, man, that's almost too nice. Like, Tia Carrera is super hot.
Yeah.
And, like, for a second, like, it was good enough to, like, it's passable.
Yeah.
But then you see her in the wife beater.
She's not quite that thick.
Yeah, you see her in the wife beater, and she's not, the bust is just not quite the same. So yeah, that's just, But
the real reason to watch this movie is the buddy cop dynamic.
Yeah. The buddy cop dynamic. Yeah, that's the reason to watch this movie. Such a good movie.
Between Brandon Lee and Dolph Lundgren, one of our favorites here on the channel.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for getting me back on.
Yeah. Do my best.
Yeah.
I love how everything's turned on its head here. How the white guy's the samurai, and the half Chinese guy is the yuppie.
Yes. Yeah.
And I love how,
So it's so out of this world. Like, when you watch it, you're like, what the fuck is this? But it is funny. Like, when you think about it, it's good. It's a good thing.
Yeah. And Dolph, even better at martial arts than Brandon Lee in this, and they talk about it. At one point, he's like, how long you been performing martial arts? Since I was 4. Maybe you should keep practicing. Your form's bad.
That's so...
It's so good.
It's so good. Really, the dialogue for the most part isn't all that bad.
Yeah.
Dolph Lundgren, I've seen better delivery out of him. Brandon Lee was a little bit quirky in this.
Yeah.
He played the yuppie well, but it was definitely kind of eye-rolling at times.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is... Because when you watch The Crow and you watch Rapid Fire, which we'll talk about in a minute, you see him in this and you're like, wow, what a bitch. But he does a good job.
Yeah,
really.
He does a good job on the martial arts and the action side. The parts where he's talking about Dolph's genitalia in this movie.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Just in case we die, you have the biggest dick I've ever seen. What?
Thank you.
What? What? Why is this a thing? Why is this dialogue?
Yeah. Oh goodness.
Good Lord.
But yeah, the action in this movie, like there's a great scene where they first meet each other there, where Dolph's fighting these guys and he's got his tea or whatever he's drinking. He doesn't spill a drop and takes all these guys out.
Yeah.
Love it. But yeah, Brandon Lee, he wasn't quite there yet, but I do love just the back and forth with him and Dolph.
Him and Dolph's great in this together for sure. And Dolph, and we've been talking about Dolph. We're going to do some movies of his too. I think he's underrated. Mm-hmm. He's got some stinkers.
Oh, a lot of stinkers, but some good stuff.
But he's got some good stuff. But I think as an actor and as a presence, he's underrated. I think he's not in the conversation as much as, you would see a Sylvester Stallone or Arnold, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I think he kind of deserves a spot up there. I think he really does a little... just for performance-wise and presence-wise, I think he has it.
Yeah, we're gonna try to represent him just a little bit here with some stuff on the channel.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna try because I think he deserves it for sure.
Yeah, but this movie is definitely if you like the buddy cop thing, and it's only an hour and like 16 or 19 minutes, and there's an action scene every 5 minutes on the dot.
Yeah.
In this movie, it's so quick,
it's
so
wild.
fast paced.
It's so wild.
Of all of his movies, this is the fastest paced, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely check it out. Of all these movies, it's the one I would go to first to watch just to have a good time.
Yeah, for sure. To have a good time. And Mark L. Lester, by the way, directed this film, which also did Armed and Dangerous and Commando. Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger, speaking of, did Commando. Another great film. This one only had an $8 million budget, made $2 million at the box office, 2.3.
Anything Dolph was in was just like nods.
No, just wasn't doing.
We talked about it with I Come in Peace.
I know, it's just crazy. But man, Carrie Tagawa was amazing in this. It was just rather weird at the end, when they're like, he's like, we're gonna be dead for a little bit. We're gonna have fun being dead for a minute, and then they will go get prepped. He's getting his fucking headband on and his his samurai shit on, and Brandon's just like in normal street gear. Yeah. So you're like, it was just like, what the hell? But
I love Carrie Tagawa's death in this movie.
Oh, I absolutely love it. It's so ridiculous.
One of the best things I've ever seen.
For sure. For sure. Everybody needs to watch Showdown in Little Tokyo. Yeah. 100%. You have to.
Me and Chris actually covered it at length in Warehouse B, so be sure to check that out.
You can find it pretty cheap just about anywhere. Amazon. If you like digital stuff, you can rent it on Vudu. It's only like $10 usually on Vudu, I think, without even a sale. Yeah. So it's really not that bad. It's totally worth getting. 100%. Also love the music in this movie. Yeah. And that goes for both this and Rapid Fire. Yeah. Love the music in this. Let's move on to Rapid Fire. Is there anything else you want to say about Showdown in Tokyo?
No. I think we've
went on about it long enough.
Went on long enough about Showdown. It's amazing. Yeah. But Rapid Fire. This is where I think he really stepped out.
I 100% agree.
And became an action star.
So on Rapid Fire, there is some, just to get kind of the negative out of the way. It comes with the budget, I'm sure, and everything, but there is some weird dialogue and some moments in Rapid Fire, and same with Showdown. But for all the good action in Showdown and even some of the fighting, some of the stunt work and effects were a little bit wonky. Not so much the effects, but just some of the stunt work was a little wonky. And I thought it was a little bit wonky in Rapid Fire too. But I think a little bit better in some places. Yes. And there's a lot of good action and a lot of stuff that like made my eyes kind of like, my eyebrows go up. When he hit that dude with the motorcycle and ran him through that glass case, like that was a good stunt. Mm-hmm. That's a good scene right there. That whole thing was good. I love shootout.
I told you yesterday, I love the entire scene in the safe house where the bad cops turn on him.
Yes.
And
super awesome.
Hitting guys with fridge doors and going up through crawl spaces.
Yeah, some early Jackie Chan kind of shit there, man.
Yeah, just some really good stuff. The story to this movie is really good. He witnesses a murder. Yeah. And so they come after him. His parents had been killed in some kind of protest, some kind of rally or something.
Yeah. And there's some political stuff at the beginning they don't get really too far into, and he's not interested in. Yeah. But the feds basically find him pretty quick, lop him up, and then, they kind of trick him into going to hiding to testify, and they end up betraying him, and they turn out, all the feds turn out to be crooked. Super crooked.
Except for the detectives there in Chicago, led by Powers Booth, the great Powers Booth.
The great Powers Booth. Actually a good guy in this.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And Powers Booth is awesome in everything. Yeah. I love Powers Booth. Which he wasn't really even a bad guy in Southern Comfort.
No, that was another one.
But still,
he was one of the
and MacGruber, if you like MacGruber. he was a colonel in MacGruber. Yeah. Powers Booth's awesome, man, and he's a great bad guy. Yeah.
Some great shootouts there between his crew and the bad guys. Nick Mancuso's guys.
Yeah.
They're at that restaurant. Some more great action there from Brandon Lee.
Oh, for sure. I kind of like that scene. There's a lot of good music in this. It's that early 90s. It reminded me of like the Turtles and stuff, but then you added the saxophone in. There's a lot of good music in these movies. I like that a lot. I like that era. And I like that scene kind of where it was all kind of side by side happening at once, where they were doing the raid. and like Powers Booth and his men were doing the raid, and then Brandon Lee, wasn't he like banging the girl or something like that in the meantime? Yeah. I liked that whole scene. Just, I don't know, it's just something
how it was
about
cut together.
Yeah, how it was cut together is kind of nice.
Yeah.
I don't even know, like, it was not even just because of the banging. It just for whatever reason, it was just cut together really well.
I mean, she was all right. She wasn't Tia Carrere.
No, she's not Tia Carrere. She was good too.
Yeah, but she was good.
That's not why we're here, though.
Yeah,
Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
And his martial arts is why we're here. Buddy cops.
Yeah.
You're right though. I think Brandon Lee really shines in this movie. He does such a great job. He's not one of those dudes that's like super Steven Seagal tough, like badass, but he's not like he was in Showdown.
Yeah.
He's still put together pretty well. He's still agile and he's still able to be survivalist, and he's a little bit naive.
Yeah.
But at one point he's like, "Get in the car." He's like, "Boy, you learn slow, kid."
Yeah.
Because he still wasn't sure what the hell was going on. Who was the guys that were not going to kill him?
Yeah, Ryan's so good in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His name's Mace Ryan.
Mace Ryan. What a great name.
Another great name.
Yeah.
I looked at Chelsea. I'm like, oh my God, that's the best B-movie, action movie name I've ever heard. And she just rolled her eyes and then walked off. But I was like, oh my God, right, Mace Ryan is so kick-ass.
Mason Storm.
Yes, Mason Storm. Yeah, these great shit, man.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie, he has some great fights there toward the end in that laundry with our guy, Al Long. Shout out to, St. Louis.
Yes. Dude. I looked at it last night. Al Long for St. Louis. Yeah. Al Long looking like he does in every single movie. Yeah. This really receded hairline,
long
creepy,
hair, Fu Manchu.
Fu Manchu, creepy looking, just little bitty guy, but looks like a badass at the same time.
Yeah, and he gets some licks in on Brandon Lee. I like that he's not just completely invincible.
I do too.
This movie. I think that adds to the realism.
I really like that scene between Mancuso and what's his name, and what's his name? Damn it, the main bad guy
in the beginning.
Yeah, where he pisses him off, and then he goes out and then he takes out his guys.
Yeah.
Like that was awesome.
Yeah,
he just basically says, "Do not ask for what you can't take."
Yeah,
that was so cool, man. Which is actually the guy who plays the ambassador or what? Whoever. It's Sue Young's dad in Rush Hour.
Oh, okay.
The little girl that they kidnap. It's her dad is that guy.
Wow. That's one I need to watch again. It's been a long
Rush Hour's good, man. This is good shit. But yeah, highly recommend Rapid Fire, guys. It came out in 1992. I don't have a budget for it, but it did make $14 million at the box office. I can't imagine it being more than $2 or $3 million movie or $5 million movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because it wasn't like over the top with action.
Yeah, it was enough.
As far as effects.
It was enough that got him in the next movies.
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of the next movie, last but certainly not least, is the one that most people know of when they think Brandon Lee now, and that's The Crow. One of the coolest like steampunk, like gothic movies of all time, I think.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite comic book movies.
100%.
I think it was a graphic novel, not necessarily a comic book.
Right.
Of those kind, it's one of my favorites. And it's just got some great actors. Ernie Hudson's
awesome in that. He's great style. It's been a little while since I've seen it, but it's such a good movie, man. Another good name, Eric Draven.
Yeah.
It's a cool ass name.
Yeah.
If it was just more gothic-y, like it works.
Yeah.
More comic booky.
And even with the mythology of the Crow, it's basically like a Western. I mean, they
really
gun
is.
him and his girl down.
Yeah, and he comes back. Yeah, which I love.
Yep.
That's John Carpenter kind of shit right there, man. Michael Wincott is the bad guy. Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
Top dollar.
Dude, he's top dollar. He's awesome in everything he's in as well.
Yeah.
But what's his name?
Sully.
Yeah, Sully.
What's his name?
Damn it. David Patrick Kelly.
David Patrick Kelly.
Yeah. The ultimate snake, dude.
Yeah.
The movie.
So good in this.
Yes, so good in this movie. Obviously, I don't have to tell everybody to go watch The Crow. Definitely need to go watch it. I'm kind of interested to see what they do with this remake.
Yeah.
Bill Skarsgård. Yeah. I feel like he's going to pull it off.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely watch it. We've reviewed The Crow on this channel as well.
Yeah.
Several years back. You can go back and look at that. Where do you see Brandon Lee Like, if this doesn't happen on this Crow set.
Yeah, just if the bad accident doesn't happen and he gets shot. And there's a lot of crazy stories. We won't go into that today. There's a lot of crazy stuff surrounding that accident and the death. But where do I see him?
Because I think he had signed on for a Crow sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's anything like what Crow City of Angels, it would have been a step back. I think, even with Brandon Lee, because of that script.
Yeah.
And all the interference from Miramax.
Yeah. Do you think it would have had the same interference? Well, it probably would have.
Yeah.
Because nothing's safe, man. Halloween wasn't safe for Miramax. That's for damn sure.
But I've said this a few times. I can see him playing the part of Neo in The Matrix.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Keanu Reeves, he was establishing himself, and I don't know if he had done any martial arts in any movie.
Do you think The Crow would have done as well without him dying, though? Like the first one? Do you think
I
it
think
would?
so. It was a big deal.
Yeah. Because, he died before it came out.
Yeah, I was a teenager when that came out. But even before then, before not even knowing that he had died in that movie, there was a buzz about that movie.
Okay.
And that trailer with the burning crow and everything.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Imagery is amazing in that movie, for sure.
To a 14-year-old kid, that was
that's true.
Awesome.
That's true.
We were all talking about it.
Yeah, true.
But, yeah, I can definitely see him playing in The Matrix as Neo.
Yeah.
What he does in between the Crow and that, I don't know. But, yeah, I think we lost a great action star, somebody who would have carried the 2000s.
After seeing the change just between, like, Showdown and Rapid Fire, and then Rapid Fire and the Crow.
Yes.
I think you definitely would have found in the next 2 or 3 years past the Crow, him really coming into his own, really showing his range, which he showed his range in the Crow. But I think, I agree with you. Neo's I never really thought about what he might play.
Yeah. That
much. I just know that he probably would have been big.
Yeah.
You definitely. I think you would have seen him more in more buddy cop movies in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then probably something along. You probably would have got 2 or 3 sequels out of The Crow, if
we wouldn't have got Edward Furlong.
Yeah, well, that's for the best. Sorry, but it's for the best.
I could see him branching out into dramas later on, because everybody gets artsy fartsy at some point.
Yeah. Oh, I'd say you definitely give him a comedy. Like, I think he would have been good in the role that, like, in the roles that Arnold wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
He would have been able to branch out, because I think he's one of those guys, since he was kind of both. He was gonna be similar, because Jackie Chan's one of those that can branch out and do comedy and family films, and then do the action movies. And I think you would see that there, but you're gonna see, while he may not have been as fast or as crazy with some of that comedy martial arts that Jackie Chan does, with like the accidental shit, however you describe that. I think you would have seen a lot more sex appeal out of the dude. I think he would have crossed into the family stuff a lot easier. Definitely love drama movies a lot easier than any of them would have. But also could still make a badass action movie.
I could see him easily in any of the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, for sure.
Or the Expendables eventually.
I would have loved to have seen him as a bad guy.
Yeah.
I think as a bad guy it might have actually worked, because I think you would eventually saw him. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that Expendables 2 Jean-Claude thing, where you're like, damn, he's a way better bad guy than I expected him to be.
Yeah,
because he's always played good guys. Yeah. And I think seeing the dark side of him in The Crow, I think he would have been a good bad guy.
Yeah,
for sure. It's kind of like it wouldn't be like weird levels like what was Patrick Swayze's name in Point Break? Johnny.
Oh.
Something.
Oh no, he's Bodie.
Bodie.
You're talking Johnny Utah.
Johnny Utah. That's Keanu's name. What's Bodie? Because like Patrick Swayze playing a bad guy is weird.
Yeah.
Too
stupid to have a good time.
You're too stupid to have a good time. But I think Brandon Lee would have been a good bad guy.
Yeah,
for sure. But it's hard. I guess I've never really thought about it.
Yeah. That
much.
Yeah, I've sat and thought sometimes like especially when you're watching Showdown or Rapid Fire, like, where would this guy have been? And now with revisionist history, from like 94 to like 2010, what roles would he have been? That's something to just ponder.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that, because I think, you've seen a lot of those guys kind of dying off by the mid to late 90s as Keanu took over and the guys like that took over. And Bruce Willis was still around.
Vin Diesel.
And, Arnold started winding down a little bit and Sylvester was winding down. But they still had some decent stuff in the late 90s. Copland is still one of my favorite Sylvester Stallone films. Vin Diesel. And Paul Walker. I think you're onto something. He probably would have been really good.
In that Paul Walker.
In that Walker role, yeah. Or something like that. Or even in, what's his name, was his name Chang or whatever in Fast and Furious, the bad guy?
Yeah.
He would have been all right as that. Yeah. But yeah, that's something to think about. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think he would have done.
Yeah, because of the tragedy, I feel like, it sounds selfish, but I feel like we were cheated out of like half a dozen really good performances.
I mean, I think there's no question whatsoever that he was going to be something great. And I think pretty much everybody thinks that. Like, you'd be stupid not to see him being a big star, at least for another decade.
Let us know in the comments just hypothetically, what you would see him in.
Yeah.
What you think he would have played in the 2000s.
So I guess before we wrap it up, you want to rank the 5 films real quick? I mean, we'll rank the 3 we for sure seen, I guess.
Well, Laser Mission's at the bottom. I think from what I've seen of Legacy of Rage, it's probably a better movie.
So I guess, would we still put Crow at the top?
I think as a complete film,
it'd still be one. Yeah, so maybe it's not much of a ranking then.
To me, it's almost a tie. I like Showdown just a little more because of the buddy cop thing, but I think performance-wise, man, he's so much better in Rapid Fire.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. So it's not really much of a ranking, but I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, they're 2A and 2B.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it. I don't really have anything to say about it, but we just wanted to talk about Brandon Lee a little bit. We haven't really talked much about him. We have covered Showdown before, but we haven't covered Rapid Fire. We did cover The Crow before too. But just kind of as a complete package, Brandon Lee was a big deal, man. He was somebody that was special, and we just robbed of him too soon. Let us know in the comments below what you think his career would have been like had he not died. Let us know what you think of all these. If you've seen them, if you haven't, I would recommend doing that. And just be on the lookout for some other good stuff down the line. We've got Big Warehouse B episode 20, Samurai Cop coming up, man. I cannot wait for that. That's going to be so fun. Depending on when you're watching this, we've released the Under Siege versus Speed.
Yeah.
And also did a Trancers 2 Warehouse B.
Yeah, talking about throwing some Dolph in there, speaking of Showdown Little Tokyo.
Showdown Little Tokyo, yeah.
Talking about maybe Red Scorpion.
Red Scorpion, yeah. Red Scorpion might be number 19 before we get to Samurai Cop. Yeah. That'd be fun. So drop us a like if you like the video, and be sure to sub to check out all our other content in the future, and don't miss any of that. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching.
We're out of here.
We're out of here.